8 low-quality behaviors of men who haven't grown up emotionally, according to psychology, and how to overcome them. In today's fast-paced world, emotional maturity is one of the key pillars that determine personal success, happiness, and the quality of our relationships. Emotional maturity isn't about simply growing older. It's about learning how to navigate life's challenges, form meaningful connections, and regulate our emotional responses in healthy ways. Unfortunately, some men continue to display emotionally immature behaviors well into adulthood, which can hinder their personal growth and relationships. Psychology provides valuable insights into the common behaviors of men who struggle with emotional maturity. If you or someone you know is exhibiting any of these traits, there's hope for change. With self-awareness and a commitment to growth, emotional maturity can be developed. Let's explore 8 low-quality behaviors of emotionally immature men, their psychological roots, and how to overcome them. 1. Avoidance of vulnerability. Hiding behind a mask of strength. Vulnerability is often misunderstood, especially in societies where men are encouraged to appear tough and stoic. The idea that vulnerability is a weakness is a myth perpetuated through social conditioning. Men who avoid being vulnerable may hide their feelings behind a facade of strength. They resist showing any emotional depth, whether through talking about their fears, anxieties, or even their dreams. This avoidance of vulnerability stunts their emotional growth and hinders authentic connections. Psychological insight. Vulnerability is the cornerstone of genuine emotional intimacy. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create an environment of trust and authenticity. This, in turn, fosters deeper relationships with others. Being open about one's feelings is a powerful tool for healing and personal growth. Emotional vulnerability is not about being weak. It's about embracing our humanity and connecting with others on a deeper level. How to overcome it. The first step toward overcoming vulnerability avoidance is acknowledging the fear of being perceived as weak. Begin by taking small steps to express feelings in safe, non-judgmental spaces. Therapy, close friendships, and open partnerships can provide supportive environments where vulnerability is valued. As men practice being open about their emotions, they will see that true strength lies in honesty and openness. 2. Emotional reactivity. The impulsive reactions that keep you stuck. Impulsive reactions, whether in the form of anger, frustration, or withdrawal, are common in emotionally immature men. They often react to situations immediately, without taking the time to process their feelings or understand their emotional triggers. This leads to outbursts, poor decision-making, and strained relationships. Instead of responding thoughtfully, they default to emotional reactivity, which can create chaos in their lives and leave others feeling hurt and misunderstood. Psychological insight. Emotional regulation is the key to emotional maturity. Men who struggle with emotional reactivity often haven't learned how to pause and assess their emotions before responding. They may also lack the coping strategies needed to manage intense emotions. By learning how to regulate emotions, men can avoid knee-jerk reactions and create space for thoughtful responses. How to overcome it. Mindfulness is one of the most effective tools for developing emotional regulation. Practicing mindfulness helps individuals become aware of their emotions in the present moment, allowing them to choose how to respond rather than reacting impulsively. Techniques like deep breathing, meditation, and self-reflection can help manage emotional reactions, creating space for more intentional and thoughtful responses. 3. Blaming others for their problems. Never taking responsibility. When things go wrong, emotionally immature men often blame others. Whether it's a partner, colleague, or family member, they rarely take ownership of their actions or mistakes. This behavior stems from an unwillingness to look inward and reflect on how their own choices contributed to the outcome. The tendency to deflect responsibility only reinforces the cycle of immaturity, as it prevents growth and self-improvement. Psychological insight. The inability to take responsibility stems from a defense mechanism that protects the ego. When a person is unwilling to acknowledge their mistakes, they avoid the discomfort that comes with self-reflection. However, taking ownership of one's actions is a critical step in personal development. It's also essential for building trust in relationships, as people are more likely to forgive and grow when they see accountability in others. How to overcome it. Developing self-awareness is key to overcoming blame-shifting behavior. Men can start by practicing honest self-reflection and recognizing how their actions affect others. Journaling, therapy, or even simply asking for feedback from trusted friends can help identify patterns of behavior. Acknowledging one's mistakes and apologizing sincerely is an important part of emotional growth. When we own our actions, we build the foundation for healthier relationships and self-improvement. 4. Refusing to commit. Fear of responsibility and emotional intimacy. Commitment is often seen as a scary prospect for emotionally immature men. Whether in relationships, work, or personal goals, these men struggle to make decisions or take responsibility for their future. This refusal to commit stems from a fear of being trapped, a reluctance to take on responsibility, or an underlying fear of vulnerability. They may avoid long-term relationships or shy away from professional opportunities, ultimately remaining stuck in a cycle of stagnation. Psychological insight. Commitment requires emotional maturity as it involves embracing responsibility and the inevitable uncertainties of life. Emotional immaturity may cause men to feel overwhelmed by the demands of commitment, fearing they will lose their sense of independence or freedom. In truth, true freedom comes from being able to make conscious, thoughtful decisions and following through with them. How to overcome? It's in you. Overcoming fear of commitment involves recognizing that personal growth and stability come from making choices and taking responsibility. Men can begin by setting small, manageable goals and committing to them. This might include things like making decisions in a relationship or sticking to a personal development plan. As they practice commitment in smaller areas, they can build confidence and readiness for larger commitments in their lives. 5. Lack of emotional intelligence EQ. Struggling to understand others. Men who lack emotional intelligence struggle to understand and navigate their own emotions, let alone those of others. Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, understand, and manage emotions in ourselves and others. Men who struggle in this area often have difficulty empathizing with others, recognizing their emotional needs, and effectively communicating. This leads to miscommunication, frustration, and an inability to build strong interpersonal relationships. Psychological insight. Emotional intelligence is critical for emotional maturity. It involves being aware of one's own emotions, understanding how they influence thoughts and behaviors, and using that awareness to guide decision-making. The inability to understand one's own emotions often leads to projecting them onto others or failing to recognize their emotional needs. How to overcome it? Developing emotional intelligence starts with self-awareness. Men can practice tuning into their own feelings and understanding why they feel a certain way. Techniques like mindfulness, journaling, and therapy can help foster self-awareness. Additionally, learning to recognize and validate the emotions of others through active listening and empathy will enhance emotional intelligence. By cultivating both self-awareness and empathy, men can improve their ability to connect with others. 6. Avoiding conflict, the fear of confrontation. Avoiding conflict is another common trait of emotionally immature men. Rather than addressing issues head-on, they may withdraw or ignore problems in the hope that they will resolve on their own. This fear of confrontation often stems from anxiety, insecurity, or a lack of confidence in managing difficult conversations. However, avoiding conflict only prolongs problems and can lead to passive-aggressive behaviors. Psychological insight. Healthy conflict is essential for growth in relationships. Conflict doesn't always mean anger or hostility. It can be a productive way to address differences and work through challenges. Emotionally mature men know that avoiding conflict only leads to resentment and disconnection. How to overcome it? The first step in overcoming the fear of conflict is recognizing that conflict is a natural part of relationships and growth. Men can begin by practicing assertive communication, expressing their thoughts and feelings without aggression or withdrawal. Seeking the help of a therapist or counselor can provide tools to navigate difficult conversations with confidence and respect. By facing conflict with an open mind and a willingness to listen, men can build stronger, more resilient relationships. 7. Dependency on external validation. Seeking approval from others. Many emotionally immature men rely heavily on external validation to feel good about themselves. Whether it's through social media likes, praise from others, or constant reassurance in relationships, they seek approval to feel secure. This constant need for validation indicates a lack of self-esteem and self-worth, which ultimately hinders personal growth and emotional independence. Psychological insight. Self-validation is a critical aspect of emotional maturity. When we depend on others to validate our worth, we hand over our sense of self to external sources. This dependency can lead to feelings of insecurity and a lack of confidence. How to overcome it? Building self-esteem and self-worth is essential for overcoming dependency on external validation. Men can practice self-reflection, celebrate their own achievements, and affirm their value from within. Therapy, mindfulness practices, and setting personal goals can help cultivate a strong sense of self. The more men learn to validate themselves, the less they will need approval from others. 8. Inability to apologize or admit mistakes, defensiveness and pride. One of the most frustrating behaviors of emotionally immature men is their inability to apologize or admit mistakes. Whether out of pride or fear of being seen as weak, they avoid taking responsibility for their actions. This defensiveness can harm relationships, as it prevents healing and growth. Psychological insight: apologizing is a powerful tool for emotional maturity. It demonstrates humility, accountability, and a willingness to repair relationships. Men who struggle with apologizing often have deep-seated fears of being judged or rejected, which causes them to avoid taking responsibility. How to overcome it? Overcoming defensiveness begins with recognizing that apologizing is not a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of strength. Men can start by practicing humility and learning to admit when they are wrong. Offering a sincere apology shows emotional maturity and a desire to repair relationships. Over time, this practice will help them develop greater empathy and accountability in all areas of life. Conclusion: the path to emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is a continuous journey, and it's never too late to begin the process of growth. By recognizing these behaviors and understanding their psychological roots, men can take proactive steps toward becoming more emotionally mature. With patience, self-reflection, and a commitment to growth, it's possible to overcome these low-quality behaviors and build stronger, more fulfilling relationships. Emotional maturity is not an all-or-nothing trait. It's about making small, consistent changes that lead to lasting transformation. Start today by being mindful of these behaviors and commit to becoming the best version of yourself.